I just want to put the tip in.
It's time for Just the Tip.
That would make me uncomfortable.
Promise that it ain't too much, but just enough. Just a tip. Just a tip.
Just the tip? Just the tip.
Just really wondering, are we going to get hopped up enough to make some bad decisions? Perhaps play a little game called Just the Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels.
It's time for
Just the Tip
with Mike Tipton.
What a dumb way to lose a game. Back-to-back weeks of us having to start off with those exact words. You talk about the dumbest damn way to lose a game. I thought that was the Dallas Cowboys last week. Nope. The Cincinnati Bengals said, hold my beer. And that they did. I've seen some stuff out there on social media just in the little bit of time that it took from the game to end for me to get started here doing this on Just the Tip of people saying, oh, well, the game is rigged. Have you, if you don't think sports are rigged, have you watched any of the games this weekend? Mind you, this coming from a Lakers fan who thinks that the Lakers got hosed on Saturday, I believe is whenever the game was. I didn't really watch it. Was it a foul on LeBron James? Probably, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. I'm sure LeBron has gotten a lot more fouls called in his favor than against his favor. But again, Patrick Mahomes clearly out of bounds and then pushed, tackled from behind by one of the Cincinnati Bengal linebackers. And all of the sudden, you give one of the most prolific offenses 15 yards. Again, the dumbest damn way to lose a game if you're Cincinnati Bengals. I thought I had seen it all. I've seen Dak Prescott slide. I've seen Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott line up in that weird-ass formation the Dallas Cowboys did last week, which, again, was the previous dumbest way to lose a game. And then I see this, where you push the star quarterback, not just any other quarterback, because maybe you get away with it if it's, some scrub. Maybe if it's Brock Purdy. Maybe if it's Cooper Rush or somebody like that. Maybe you get away with it. But no, this is Patrick Mahomes that you pushed out of bounds that way. The call is going to be made each time. You give Kansas City 15 yards, ball goes up in the air, end of the game off the foot of Harrison Butker. The Kansas City Chiefs win the game. They cover for your boy. I messed up a little bit this week. I got both games right, but I said both games will hit the over, and I didn't get the over on that, so maybe I look dumb. I just thought these offenses would put up some points, and unfortunately for me, they didn't. But Kansas City overcomes. They do what it seems like they're destined to do. Patrick Mahomes in his 5th AFC Championship game. The dude is just phenomenal, right? Granted, yes, he's got a great team around him. No one can dispute that, right? Patrick Mahomes, great team around him, great coaching staff around him. Nobody could have seen this going right now. Being told right now that it wasn't a fair call, the refs gave them that game. That is a fair call. Unfortunately, I understand that a lot of people are like, no, it's not. Again, you hit the star quarterback as he's going out of bounds. He's already out of bounds. He's already injured, and it looks like to the referees that that's what you're going for. Unfortunately for them, that's the way the cookie crumbled. The flag is going to be thrown on that each and every time. If that's Tom Brady, well, not each and every time. If that's Tom Brady, if that's Aaron Rodgers, if that's Patrick Mahomes, if that's any of these superstar quarterbacks, if that happens to Joe Burrow, it's the exact same call. I cannot agree with people saying that it's not a fair call whenever it undoubtedly is. Again, maybe if it's someone like a Brock Purdy who doesn't have the cachet, maybe if it's Nick Foles or someone like that, that doesn't get called. But we all know if it's the star quarterback, if it's the guy, that call is going to be made. And thank God for this game, because the dumpster fire that we had to watch earlier, that we all suffered through earlier with the San Francisco 49ers laying an egg in Philadelphia, I put it out there because I love poking the bear. I said it last week. I've said it a bunch of times in my life. I get more pleasure out of watching the San Francisco 49ers lose than I do watching the Dallas Cowboys win. And San Francisco, you've done a lot of that over the last 29 years. Yes, it's been that way for 29 years. Being told I get it, I totally understand, but it was a BS call. Unfortunately, it wasn't. They had called a play like that earlier in the game. You cannot hit these players going out of bounds, especially the quarterback. And that point of the game, you've got to be smarter than that. If they hold them right there, you get them at the 50-yard line. You get the Kansas City Chiefs at the 50-yard line with 8 seconds left to go. If they do kick a field goal, I guess it would be the 40. If they do kick a field goal, it would wind up being a 60-yard field goal. There's no way they're making it in that cold weather. You give them those 15 yards, make it a 60-yard field goal down to a 45-yard field goal, and the ball goes through. It's unfortunate, but that's literally the way that it goes. I hate that a game ends that way because it always creates this whole controversy and stuff. But to the letter of the law, that is the way the ball goes. The flag is going to be thrown on that each and every time. If you're a star quarterback, once again, if you're Cooper Rush, no one cares. Nobody cares, flatly. No one's going to throw the flag in that one if you're Cooper Rush. Once again, thank you all so much for the comments. I want to get to a comment that I got via text from my dude, Travis. He is the owner of Three Missions Brewery. Those that don't know, Travis lives in Kansas City. Rick and them take care of the Three Missions Brewery operation. Rick, one of the co-owners, they take care of that here in El Paso. Always check them out. 10179 Socorro Road, Three Missions Brewery down in Socorro, Texas, my neck of the woods where I grew up at. They got the pomegranate beer. They got the churro beer. They've got the brand new El Trio Membrillo beer. So check out all that stuff. And, of course, my favorite, the Socorro Blondie, because, blondies have more fun. But my dude Travis goes ahead and comments on here, I hate Tony Romo. He talks so much shit, and then he tries to backpedal to try to not look dumb. And I asked him how. He said from kickoff to the end, he would talk shit on whatever side was behind. And then, but I've always got an easy, I always say never doubt these guys when there was a big play. I can honestly say that this is the first time I've heard any type of negative commentary about Tony Romo and the way that he, calls the games. But I will say this. I kind of tend to agree with that, right? Like Tony Romo goes a little over the top, but that's what you have to do. That's what you're taught to do whenever it comes to the media side of this stuff, right? So he's just doing his job. That's all it is. But going back to the games from earlier today, I started off on this, and I want to talk about this a little bit earlier. I said it a million times. I get more enjoyment out of watching the San Francisco 49ers lose than I do watching the Dallas Cowboys win. Their fan base is part of the reason why, right? And I get it. I get why people hate the Dallas Cowboys fan base. Every time, I guess the whole thing is, it's our year. You've already heard my thoughts on this. You should think that way if you're an NFL fan. The goal is to win a Super Bowl. To sit there and say the Dallas Cowboys are the worst team in the NFL is a flat lie. Also, to sit there and say that they're going to win the Super Bowl, undoubtedly a flat lie. But to look at San Francisco 49er fans hang their hat on the simple fact that, yes, we've made it to 2 Super Bowls. Did you win? Because if you didn't, then that means your outcome to the season was the exact same as the other 31 teams that didn't play. I guess the other 30 teams that didn't play in the Super Bowl. You lost. There's only one winner at the end of the season, and that's what this is all about, is the teams that win. We talk about the final 4 teams, making the AFC and NFC championship is this huge deal that everybody should just genuflect in your direction because you made the AFC and NFC championship. Congrats. Tell me who played in the NCAA Final Four last year. All 4 teams. I'd love, without any research, for anybody to tell me who those 4 teams were. Hell, tell me who played in the AFC and NFC championship 5 years ago. That doesn't mean anything. Being in the Final Four doesn't mean anything. It's about winning the damn Super Bowl, and that's it. If your team didn't win the Super Bowl, hell, the Dallas Cowboys are in the exact same boat as the Chicago Bears. They went home with some big old L's, but the Bears at least have the number 1 overall pick. The Dallas Cowboys don't. The San Francisco 49ers don't. The San Francisco 49ers, you look at them head to head against the Dallas Cowboys over the last 29 years. Cool, right? It's been just as pathetic for both teams. At least the Cowboys didn't walk home with the number 1 overall pick twice, being the worst team in football for those seasons. I'm not saying it as a defensive individual. I'm just saying it because why are they talking the way that they talk? How is this how is this a argument that people will have? Our team made it to the AFC Championship or the NFC Championship. Did you win the Super Bowl? That's literally all it's about. No one cares about the rest of the stuff. Did you win the Super Bowl? And this year, whenever San Francisco had one of the biggest acquisitions in the history of the NFL, midseason acquisitions in the history of the NFL, and getting Christian McCaffrey, having one of the best defenses in a really long time, if not the best defense of at least the last 15 years, going all the way back to those Baltimore Ravens defenses. Having the defensive player of the year in Joey Bosa, having a phenomenal offensive line led by Trent Williams, having all of these offensive weapons, one of the great quarterback coaches of all time. Your team did not win the Super Bowl. That is an epic choke job. And when they finally went on the road, they lose against Philadelphia in what has to be the ugliest NFC Championship game we've seen in recent times. I know the excuse machine is already going to get going. That was our third string quarterback. He won a whole bunch of games in a row for your team. 2 playoff games. He ain't some scrub-ass quarterback. He's going to be a guy that makes you get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo and more than likely try to find a way to get rid of Trey Lance as well. This ain't your normal third-string quarterback. This is a legit dude that can take your team to the next level in Brock Purdy. You have Deebo Samuel. You have George Kittle. You have Brandon Ayuk. You have Christian McCaffrey. And you have Elijah Mitchell. Some of the best at their positions. Then you look at that defense, great overall defense, and you went into Philadelphia and laid an egg. Flatly. Nothing else can be said about that. You went into Philadelphia, got a big ol' L on national TV in front of the entire world, and you've got nothing to hang your hat on. Because making it to the NFC Championship ain't winning the damn Super Bowl. Making it to the AFC Championship, if you're the Bengals, do you think Joe Burrow's happy with that? Do you think the players on that team are happy with that, the way that it all turned out? We made it to the AFC Championship, guys. Let's raise that banner up in the stands. It's almost as pathetic going back to the NBA, since we're now going to be in the middle of NBA season here shortly. It's almost as pathetic as the Clippers covering all of the championships the Lakers won with selfies of their players because they play in the same damn arena. That's how pathetic putting up an AFC Championship banner. We made it to the AFC Championship, guys. Look, we made it out of the divisional round. Awesome. Hell, you don't even get the NFC Championship banner because your team didn't win. You just showed up. Congrats. You were one of the final 4 teams, San Francisco. You're awesome. Anyway, talking about the game that actually mattered, the game that was good, the game that makes me kind of question what I had said this weekend on Fire and Ice, just yesterday at Fire and Ice. And shout out to our friends over at Union Draft House, Sunland Park, 730 Sunland Park Avenue. They've got over 100 beers. And as a matter of fact, you can go in, ask for a membership card. And if you try each of those 100 beers, they got an awesome prize for you. Don't do it all in one night. Be a responsible individual. But think about possibly being one of the 100ers. 100s? 100ers? That might be over there at Union Draft House on Sunland Park. Once again, 730 Sunland Park Drive in the parking lot of Sunland Park Mall. Now, getting back to the game. The San Francisco 49ers lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. Called down on Fire and Ice. I said the Eagles would win that game. I got the spread. I didn't get the over-under. Said Kansas City was going to beat the Bengals. Got that right. Got the spread. Didn't get the over-under, right? So here we have a Super Bowl matchup that I think is going to be the most intriguing Super Bowl matchup. Because despite the fact that Joe Burrow is super cool, going to be the face of the NFL moving forward, he is not Patrick effing Mahomes. I believe his legal middle name is fucking. But looking at Patrick Mahomes taking on a guy like Jalen Hurts, the quarterback battle, right? Hurts having himself what seems to be an MVP type season. Who do you go with here? So let's look at the teams. on paper, whenever you look at the athletes that the Philadelphia Eagles have, there is no way on offense you can say that the Kansas City Chiefs have the advantage. They've got the advantage at tight end, but I still think Dallas Goedert is a great tight end. Offensive line, I think that's pretty much a wash, but you got really good offensive line players in Philadelphia and Lane Johnson and Jason Kelce, Travis Kelce's brother on the Kansas City Chiefs, so that's a pretty cool matchup to watch. But then you get out to the wide receivers, and this right here might be the point where Kansas City misses Tyreek Hill, being able to take the top off of the defense. Whenever I look at that, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Sky Moore, McCole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster, Valdez Scantling, like I'm trying to see if any of that equals what we've got in Philadelphia. And it's a complete wash to the Philadelphia Eagles. Whenever you look at the running game, Boston Scott always shows up in the big moments. Miles Sanders, coming out party this year. And then Jalen Hurts can be your third running back there if you are the Philadelphia Eagles. How's Mahomes' ankle going to be, right? Is he going to be able to run? We saw him run once this game, and it was the biggest run that he had during the game, right? I love Isaiah Pacheco, but he's not those three. I mean, even if they had a healthy Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it's not going to be that type of running game for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now look at the defenses. Look how deep the defense is in Philadelphia. I mean, their cornerbacks are arguably some of the best in the NFL. And Darius Slay, right? What does Kansas City have? Tony Romo mentioned it during the broadcast. 8, count them, 8 rookies that they have suited up that's a part of their regular rotation in Kansas City. Might have a bright future, but you still got to remember you got rookies playing in the Super Bowl. Everything here looks like it's lining up for the Philadelphia Eagles to win themselves their second championship in 5 years, I guess it would be. 5 or 6 years. I got to actually do the math here. I was at ESPN, so I guess, 5 years, right? So we got to think about that. Is this matchup already in the favor of the Philadelphia Eagles? I've got to look at the lines. I got to see what the lines are thinking right here, too. We know how Vegas loves to try to get people's money. If you bet with me, you probably made yourself a little bit of money this week. But I'm sure you didn't. And that's sad and hurtful, heartbreaking to me, as a matter of fact. But I don't know if I'm ready to call it just yet. And I'm doing the same thing I seem to always do when it comes to Tom Brady. I'm doing it now with Patrick Mahomes. I will never doubt Patrick effing Mahomes. The dude is flatly one of the greats, if not already the greatest. I said it on Fire and Ice. He can retire today and still be a Hall of Famer. It's insane to think of what the career of Patrick Mahomes has been. Philadelphia, to me, is the better team on paper. Everyone was saying whoever won out of the NFC was going to win the Super Bowl. I'm tending to lean that way, but there is some magic there with Patrick Mahomes. There is some magic there with Andy Reid. There is some legitimate, real je ne sais quoi that these teams have whenever you have Patrick Mahomes, whenever you have Andy Reid together. We've seen it. 5 years, 5 straight years in the AFC Championship game. Tom Brady, in his 20 years in New England, hosted 7 of them at home. Patrick Mahomes in 5 years has already been to 5 of them. Wrap your mind around that. The greatness that we're seeing from Patrick Mahomes. I can't give my pick right now because I've got to do the research. But if I had to, gun to my head, I'm choosing the Kansas City Chiefs. And I feel like I'm probably going to lean that way no matter what. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I know it was a short show. I know, you got a whole lot of stuff going on in your world, so I appreciate it whenever people actually tune into the show. It means a whole lot to me. I can't wait to break this down over the next 2 weeks. We got the Pro Bowl next week, so basically no football, flag football. Eli and Peyton head coaching it, if you're into that. But 2 weeks of trying to break down this Super Bowl matchup that I think is the most intriguing Super Bowl matchup we've had in a long time. The Philadelphia Eagles, congratulations to you, your fan base, my dude Pat Costello. You already know I'm always going to have nothing but love for him, versus my other good friend, James Steele. Kansas City Chiefs fan versus Philadelphia Eagles fan. Maybe we have them on and we talk about how this is going to go in the future. Maybe either one of them can sway my opinion on these things. But again, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show. I appreciate it greatly. Shout out to our friends over at Three Missions Brewery. Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs for proving that they are just as Elite 8 Light Lager made from the Dallas Cowboys legend, Troy Aikman, the one and only. Get your Elite 8 Light Lager at any Albertsons. I've already got mine because, you know, in order to be elite, you got to stay elite. Make your next beer just as elite with Elite 8 Light Lager. I'll see y'all later. So dumb.